Okay, here we go. No time to waste. We're gonna go chat with everyone of value one more time.
If you're gonna buy something, be quick about it.
Wow, look at all this, wow.
Come again. Or don't. I'm not much bothered either way.
So what do I owe the honor? What do you want?
I believe the PS4, PS5 demos of Sea of Stars just came out. Should I make this just to look at it? Yes.
Should last you a good while. Not bad, if I do say so myself. And?
Aww. Can this be the ultimate weapon? It looks so much better. The hilt's kind of lame, but I like the blade. Oh yeah, by the way, we got this. 18 health for 3 defense. Have anything to say, Uncle?
Clive, my boy.
Okay.
That's my boy.
That's my boy.
Brother, I put Father's helm in your chambers. He should be with you when his vision is finally realized.
Thank you, Joshua. For everything.
Nah, don't mention it.
That was not very exciting.
Ifrit?
Your resolve didn't falter.
No. Though I continue to be bewildered by fate. But I should meet with my old tutor here. At the very end of the world. I thank you. With all my heart. For giving me this chance.
And I thank you for taking it.
I should like to look upon that flower once more. When I am worthy. I stand ready to leave for Origin at your word. May Grieger go with us.
And see us safely home.
That was more of something. Think Otto has something to say?
Twinside's hundreds of leagues away. That'd mean the...
If you've got something to ask, ask.
No.
Off you go then.
Where's Jill at? Oh, she's on my balcony TM. Should we look at the map one more time?
What will it be today? What is it that you wish to learn?
God, question mark? Everybody loves us. Everybody loves us, and now we fight.
Here you are. Thus ends today's lesson.
Alright, I want to go talk to Tomes to update his thing one more time. And I want to go talk to Jill, and then we're off. Actually, talk to Gat
Do you
too.
think they'll come back?
One of these days.
One of these days, I swear, it's gonna be me who drinks you under the table.
If by under the table you mean retching on my boots half the night, I reckon one of those days was yesterday.
Ha ha, you think you're so funny. But just wait till we crack open the bottle I left in your chambers. That stuff's strong enough to burn the horns off a behemoth.
Sounds like I'll be needing some new boots.
Huh, he left. The doc? You mean Tarja? I haven't talked to Tarja in like a million years. She also kind of fell off the face of the planet, but that's okay. She wasn't really that important. Can't have too many characters. She had some cool side quest moments, though. Where'd she go?
Yes, my lord? I prithee do not risk yourself unduly.
I prithee do not rend yourself... Wait, what? Say that again?
Is there aught I might assist you with? Have care, my lord.
Oh. She said it too fast.
Ty's tea stop.
Clive,
There we go.
I wanted to give you something for the kindness you showed my mentor.
Wait, I got a thing?
What's this?
A chest of all the medicines you're ever likely to need. Seeing as you're so reluctant to come to the infirmary, I thought you might as well take a part of the infirmary with you.
I'm sure it will be very helpful indeed. And Taya, try not to work too hard.
And work Rodrigue all the harder, you mean? He's a quick study, but he's got a long way to go yet. I'll take that particular piece of advice when you heed it yourself, thank you very much. Besides, who else is going to see that your brother takes his medicine?
Who indeed?
Is that a thing? Is that why you told me to go talk to her? Please tell me it's not. I think I only have one left now. I think I just have the last one.
Enthroned in sable skies, chaos in walls. From diverse hands of
That's Mooney Bard.
dawn is spun in crimson sin unfurls.
Epic.
Good morrow to you, my friend. I have compiled some new entries, if you would like to see them.
Oh!
If you have a question for me, I should be happy to answer it.
I'm missing a single mystery of the realm. Oh wait, no, I'm missing several mysteries of the realm. Interesting.
The door to the shelves shall ever be open.
Figure it out later. Oh wait, Joe.
First the skies, then the crystal.
I still wish that he had left and then came back. He's still just standing there.
Clive, do you have a moment?
No.
Of course. Always.
I wanted to give you something.
Is this?
I stitched it from the cloth you gave Hortense. The piece she said you liked best. I told her I used to enjoy needlework, but I didn't think she'd remember.
It's beautiful, Jill. You didn't have to.
When I was very little, I recall my mother telling me that young ladies of the court would give knights ribbons from their hair before they went off to war. I still wear mine, so I made you this instead. Red is the color of passion, the fire in your heart. Fierce and bright, it binds you and your brother, you and your friends, you and me.
Our bond. May it never be broken.
And may it ever bring you back to me. I will always, always be here.
Thank you, Jill.
I think that's all of them. Oh, nope. Wait a second. The handkerchief is not one of those. It is one of them. What? It's supposed to be one of those. It's not showing up for some reason. Alright, last thing to do. I haven't checked the music in a while. Oh, that's fun. Be weird to hear this all the time, though. Our terms forever. Alright. How's it going, Riddler? It's finally time. I should save. Hey, level 48. How fitting. Here we go. This is it. This is the time to choose. I'm gonna laugh when we have a cutscene and then there's more to do.
Make sure you do this time. Oh, and while you're at it. Clive, if you see me dad up there, tell him we were right to leave his legacy with you.
Tell him he'll be in the front row. There's no way he'd miss this. Well, behave yourself, Mid.
We'll see.
Mid's too cute for her own good.
So, you're in charge now, Gav.
And what does Tyre have to say about that? Come back before she finds out, eh?
Thank you, Yote. I'm sorry.
Your Grace, I shall pray for your safe return.
That's kind of you. But you should pray he took his medicine. I didn't spend all night grinding herbs for his lordship to leave them on his nightstand. Again.
You needn't fear, Lady Tyre. And thank you.
See that your brother comes back in one piece. Or, at most, two. Any more and you can heal him yourself.
I'll keep that in mind.
Well, there's nothing to say that hasn't already been said. But that's never stopped me before, so just you do what needs doing. And don't worry about us.
We'll do our best, Uncle.
That we will.
If that is all?
Not quite. Jill.
It's time, isn't it?
It is. Take care of him. And you. You take care of her too, boy.
Don't forget, Clive. We all choose our own path. Believe in yours. I do.
I'll be back. I promise. I love you, Jill.
I know. I love you too.
Oh man, I thought she was gonna hit us with the I know. Got me worried for a second. How'd you people get here?
Now, we have a god to kill.
Oh, there's that answer. Okay, I feel sincerely bad for anyone that did not do the Jill side quest. I'm even more convinced now that should have been a main quest. Because this scene has completely different... Like, you would take this completely differently if you didn't do that side quest. I almost feel like if you don't do that side quest, this scene should play differently. You know what I mean? There should be like 2 versions of it. Because this would be so... Yeah, that's really strange. Also, they built up this whole idea of like, can Dion summon Bahamut without going crazy? But then they just jump and he transforms and it's like, boom. I feel like that should have been more of a... I was like, well, there's that answer, I guess. Like, they were just trusting in that. They just jumped off the bridge. Super epic scene, though. That was so cool. Showing everyone one last time. And Jill's reaction was great.
Found her.
You better learn real quick. That really somber prelude when he was talking to Jill, too. That was sick.
Here they come. Hold on, Joshua. Already am.
I really want that.
He's going to make us a way in.
Yeah, I still really like Bahamut in this game. Looks really cool. All the summons looked great, I think. Also, I really like how they didn't make a stupid excuse to bring Torgal. I expected them to just randomly bring Torgal because he's part of your arsenal. I like how they were willing to just be like, nope, he can't be here for this. Like, even though it removes a bit of the combat mechanics, like, it makes more sense for him to stay. We're going to stick to the story, not just have some stupid reason where, like, Torgal is here.
So, this is Origin.
A far cry from heaven.
Where it all began, where it all begins, our ark, your architect.
There you are.
It was here that we slumbered, here that we waited for centuries, clinging to our decrepit shell, for fear that we might have need of it once again. But you have come at last. And now we shall be truly complete.
Well?
There's 3 of us, and 1 of him. Let's make it count.
show you what it means to suffer.
I'm doing everything right and getting my butt kicked. I haven't pressed a button in like 3 minutes. And I'm losing.
Not this time. I got you. Move aside, Phoenix.
Delta attack. Try disaster. Wait. Okay, that was great, but I pressed like 4 buttons and his health was like still full and then we just won. What the heck? Why even have the health bars?
And you only surrendered. This unpleasantness could have been avoided.
I like the icon fights, but that one should have just been a cutscene, because I didn't do anything. The health bars didn't mean anything.
We have you.
This seems unwise.
acceptance. Only forgiveness!
Holy crap. Oh.
Now, Father, it is done.
I knew that was going to happen, and I'm still sad. What happened to you? You were just flying down to get us. How did... What happened?
Clive! No.
Is the explosion that big that it hit the... where they were going to? I guess it was.
Joshua.
Thank the Founder.
Doesn't seem to be going to plan.
Did I mention you look terrible?
That makes two of us.
Oh, I'll be alright.
And Dion.
How would you know that? You flew away.
Take my hand.
No, I told you, I'll be...
Come on.
Thank you.
Press on.
Always.
Any reason why you took her clothes off, Joshua? Take your medicine.
I'm sorry about Dion.
Don't be. Please. He did what he had to do.
And it's time we did the same.
Yeah, I totally expected that. Dion's whole story's been leading up to that. It made total sense. But I'm still sad.
Should we stop?
Because of the cough. No, I think we're past that, Clive.
I suppose we are.
That light, so cold. So empty. We're close, aren't we?
It seems that way. But I don't want to think what could be waiting for us in there.
Then think instead of those waiting for us at home.
Here's the organ.
Clive.
It's the end of a Final Fantasy game. We need an organ.
They can't be.
But they are. This is the Nexus. A wellspring of life. Yours and ours. As we watch the world stumble slowly to its dark end, it was here we pledged a new beginning. And now, with the ether we have harvested, I shall raise my kin from their eternal slumber. That together we may usher in a new age of reason.
This was never about creation. Only self-preservation. You condemned an entire world so that you alone might escape death.
Alone. Him. Alone. Clive. I think I understand. He...
They sacrificed their flesh to become beating hearts of crystal that pumped the land's lifeblood from the depths of the earth unto this very chamber. And thus would they labor still, long after their work was done, had you not set them free.
You meant for us to destroy the Mother Crystals. It's what you wanted all along.
You have our gratitude, Muthos. In this you have served us well. You have both served us well. Welcome home, brother.
Joshua.
I thought it was me, but it wasn't my grasp that grew weaker. It was theirs that grew stronger.
Joshua! No!
And now we can become one.
Clive.
Don't speak. Shh.
The one possessed of the destructive flames of Ifrit and the healing flames of the Phoenix. This, I once believed, would be Ultima's true form. But I was wrong. I see it now. Why you will never become Ultima's vessel.
I don't care. Just hold on.
Listen to me, Clive. You remember the murals? People once knew that Ultima was their god, that he created them. And they worshipped him, prayed to him, looked to him for guidance. In vain. In vain. For he did not listen, did not acknowledge our will, and so we strayed from his path to forge one of our own. So absorbed was he in his own desires, so driven by his own will alone, that he shunned the one thing that could have made him truly powerful. Faith. The same faith people now place in you. Faith that you will fulfill their dream, Sid's dream, of creating a better world for us. Faith that you will follow in Father's footsteps and save those who need saving most. Faith that you will answer Jill's plea to save yourself. The difference is, Clive, that you chose to listen, and that is what has steeled our bonds. Bonds that helped you stand firm when Ultima's pull was at its strongest. His power may be absolute, but so is ours. And so will yours be. With my light in your heart, not even a god might stop us.
Joshua! Don't do it, you'll...
Enough, Clive. My body is too far gone. If the wound does not take me, the curse will. I have always been proud to call you my shield. But now, it is the world that needs you. Thank you, Clive, for being my brother.
Look at me, Joshua. Open your eyes! Open your eyes, Damien! Why? Why did you do this? Joshua! Joshua!
And thus does the final piece fall into place. The incantation primed, but one task remains. To empty the vessel.
still here. With me to the end.
Even now, you would deny the inevitable.
As we always have. And always will. On this, my sword, I swear, to shield the Firebird's flame forevermore.
Epic.
Nice try. Titan!
Where'd my impulse go?
Nice try.
You know nothing of magic.
Ooh.
Slow. Nice try.
Oh, I whiffed again.
This is the work of my will.
Ooh. There we go.
Perhaps this will break you. Countless centuries have I waited for this moment. This moment in which I might revel in my creation, only to find it profaned and so it must be cleansed. Unexpected. How is it that your will yet endures?
Because it's not so easily broken.
But it can be broken. And I shall see it so. For such is my will.
Ultima.
Try it.
But that's you. He used himself.
Nice try.
Oh, this is gonna be juicy. Well, he's gonna die anyway, so. That would have been so much damage had he not died.
Why? What latent force feeds these flames? I sense more here than mere will. Is this Logos? Have you truly become free? No, I forbid it. You are not a god. You are
but flesh and bone. You are not one of us.
I've become one, though.
I created you, all of you.
Is that a seraph?
And what is mine is mine to destroy.
Seraph Ifrit?
Once, perhaps. But we are no longer yours. Our flames are our own, and they burn as one!
Have you learned nothing? Damned is the slave who would turn the scourge upon his master.
I don't remember how to fight with Ifrit. That worked. Oh, I like that counter. Stellar, what? Ow. Oh, I like that triple precision dodge. That doesn't seem good. I love that, ba, 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 ba. That was from, I think that played in the Bahamut fight, but now it's a different, it's more epic. It's a different instrument. The Typhon fight. Typhon fight? Titan fight? You mean? Ow.
With fire shall fire be repaid.
That's something. Purgatorium. That doesn't seem good. How do I stop this? $40? Okay, I got some time. This is really cool because I don't think this takes into effect our stats at all. This is just like no matter how strong you are, this would be the same difficulty, I would imagine, to cancel this move. Just gotta be good enough at the mechanics to not screw it up. I'm not sure though. Ifrit might actually do more damage based on Clive's stats. canceled my move. Oh man, I can fly with those wings. I wasn't even thinking about pressing circle. I like move when I do that.
Your flames might consume mine.
Oh, uncool down. Oh, not even a million damage. Ow, 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 ow. Getting my butt kicked. Do the move, quickly. Before I die a horrible death. That timing is so hard. What's he doing? Please stagger. Okay.
How is this possible? No. My will is inviolable. Something is wrong.
You're afraid. You always have been. From the moment the Blight exposed what you were, weak, you conceived us to prove otherwise. But the results shook you to the core. For in us you saw yourself, and realized we had the potential to be more than you could ever be. And so you turned your back on your creation. Your back on the world, like the coward you are.
You think you know me? You know nothing, Logos. Nothing.
There's the Latin chanting. Reminds me of Seymour. All the glyphs.
Bathed in light, I stand above you, my rebirth complete. And you, for your defiance, shall pay the proper price. An eternity of anguish.
Anguish. Pain. suffering. You have known none of these, but we have. So we know what they grant. They bring us together, and that makes us strong.
Thunder roar!
Ultima Lius. Oh, the song though.
My will be done.
Too slow.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are those Garuda talons? I think it was. I wonder if I could freeze him. What the? Oh, he grabbed me. Okay, that's kind of cool.
I will crush you.
He's using all my moves. Ow. 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 I can freeze him.
Dust to dust.
I don't like this move. Come here. Oh, you're about to feel the pain, buddy. Oh, I almost blew it. If you don't mind me, I'm gonna run.
Gale unrelenting.
How weird, Clive!
That was random. What that?
Earth unyielding.
Titan!
Get him out, Clive!
That was the most Dragon Ball Z thing I've seen ever.
You cannot have this power.
Exaflare.
It is not yours to take. Press forward. Darkness spread.
Soil stone!
Let your blood run cold. Shine.
I needed that.
What the heck was that?
Let your will be purged. Good.
Uh-oh.
Like undying!
Muhammad! That's my boy!
The power of Uncle!
Ice unfeeling!
Shiva!
Together!
Oh, that was epic. Jill's voice actor is epic.
Darkness, unending.
I love her delivery on a lot of her lines.
Onward, my son!
No, mine is the altar at which you pray. Mine are the eyes that look down upon you all.
Limit break.
And yet still you cannot see. You are no better than us. We are one and the same.
We are not the same.
I was so close to staggering him.
No man might stand beside me.
Ow. Ow.
Witness my creation.
I hit the wrong button. What a terrible time to hit the wrong button.
5 days.
Latin chanting.
Know my power.
Meteor. Yeah, I know how to dodge that because of the hunt we did. Now it all makes sense. It's preparing me for this moment.
When all hope is burned away, naught will remain but ash.
Is that a supernova? Whoa. Was not expecting that.
We are without equal.
What the? This is gonna hurt.
Flames are forgiving!
Cow, that scream.
So sure of your place atop the world, you refuse to acknowledge those below. You chose to remain alone. And so you shunned the one thing that could have made you stronger. Pushed away the hands that could have raised you higher.
I do not need you or anyone.
And that is where we are different. I could not have made it here on my own. I carry with me the hopes and dreams of my brothers, my sisters. And it is they who will give me the strength to end your reign.
I cannot end. Mortals! The world you seek is but a fantasy!
The only fantasy here is yours. And we shall be its final witness.
Ah, he said the thing. Final Fantasy.
I said... it's over!
Nine. The ultimate punch. Yeah, that's a wallpaper right there.
Tell me, what do you imagine will befall this world now that you have gained your precious freedom?
I honestly don't know. But I doubt it will be pretty. A sorry tale of sin and suffering, hardship and pain.
And it was for this that you fought so fiercely? Why?
It's who we are. We fight. We survive. We endure. We don't need a reason. We are imperfect creatures. When we stumble, we reach for a shoulder to lean on. When we fall, we stand back up. We see the horizon, ever out of reach, and still we march on. Certain the answers lie just beyond it. Because that is our way.
My congratulations. Relish this victory, knowing that you have but delayed the inevitable. Your world is already dead. May you enjoy an eternity on its blackened husk.
Still salty. I thought his head was gonna be just like there and nothing else. And it disappeared. Oh man, that moment with the door closing from the beginning. Ew, get her out of the picture. Oh, look at younger uncle. Looking good. We just keep going further and further into the past. Yes, they nailed the look of the baby. It's not like a perfectly beautiful baby. Babies don't usually look that great when they're first born. Takes a bit for them to get cute. Very realistic baby.
It seems Ultima's power was too great for this vessel all along. But while I have it, perhaps I can use it to set things right. And see Ultima's legacy. Bearers, dominance, crystals, magic, consigned to the flames. Even if it means the end of me.
Can I talk now? I don't think it's over yet. I have a lot to say, but I don't think it's over yet. What's the... Oh, probably different languages. I was like, why are there so many voice actors? Waiting on the baby's birth. Yep. I know that walk anywhere.
Beautiful thing. He is, isn't he? What are you gonna call him?
Let me see, let me see. Oh, read little one. Got a smile for your Uncle Gav.
Not so loud, you burp.
What? I was only...
Shh, you're scaring him.
It's all right.
Oh.
Oh, poor Tor.
A sky of scattered tears, 1,000 years apart. Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark. For your
If you need a rest, I can take him.
I'll hold you to that.
The world's yours now. Yours to do with as you please. That's what Sid wanted. That's what they both wanted.
And thus did our journey end.
Man. So I gotta make sure there's no... It looks like there's gonna be a post-credits video or something, because we're on the right Okay, no, I think it's just images. So the one thing I gotta say before I forget, so like one of my biggest worries going into the end of this game was that the whole thing with Clive being strong enough to defeat Ultima, I was waiting for an answer. I was like, this whole time I was like, how is it just gonna be like Clive and Joshua together, the power of Brotherhood can defeat Ultima or something? Because like, although I know it's a video game and we're supposed to kind of believe that that's possible, it just doesn't seem reasonable because he's like God, right? But all of my worries about that instantly went away when they had that part where he was like, basically they alluded to like Clive being a new god. So Ultima created humanity and then shunned it. They all prayed to him and had faith to him, and he was like, I'm going to bed. So he didn't have the power of faith. And because he shunned them, humanity created will. And through will, they became powerful, but they had faith in their new quote-unquote god, who was Clive. So Clive had the power of a god because he was God's vessel. And all the faith of humanity basically gave him the power to equal Ultima's power. Which makes total sense, and actually makes like so much of the game that led up to this make sense. That's why he became Cid. That's why everyone had to look up to him. That's why he had to help everyone. That's why he had that personality. It all made sense. They all had faith in him, and that's why he got the power of a god, because the faith that was supposed to go to Ultima went to him instead. So that was great. Like that was my biggest worry, was like that wasn't going to make any sense, and we were just going to be like, well, he's the main character, so he can beat a god. But I love that there's actually like a real concrete reason as to how he was able to defeat Ultima. It wasn't just, you know, the power of the main character and the power of Brotherhood and the power of good. There was a real concrete reason as to why he was actually strong enough to defeat Ultima. So that was really, really cool. That was like my one big worry. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of sad they died. Like, I kind of knew it was coming, but I don't think they had to die for the story to make sense. I don't think he needed to sacrifice himself to rid the world of magic. Like, he got the power of Ultima, he could have used it to rid the world of magic, and then all the dominants just lose their power, and then he can go home, right? Like, it's kind of a shame that he died. I mean, it's fine, it works, I'm not mad about it, but I just think they actually could have had a story where the main character gets to survive and go home and be with his love and stuff, because he removed all of magic, so like, but I think that part of it is like he embraced the curse so that no one else had to ever again, kind of thing. So like, hopefully by him embracing the curse, he removed it from everyone else forever, and potentially removed the blight as well. So like, you know, I guess that's kind of what they're going for. It's just a shame that there was so much. I wanted him to go home. There was so much with Jill and so much with Gav, and I genuinely wanted him to return home. They kept saying stuff where I was like, yeah, he's probably not going to survive. Yeah, him and Joshua probably gone at the end of the game. But then they threw in these little dialogues with Jill that was like, I'll be here no matter what, and come back no matter what you become, come back. And it started to make me feel like, yeah, he's coming back. He's got to be coming back. You know? You can fast forward through this? How long is it? Does anyone know? Because I want to watch them, but if it's like 84 years, then it's 30 minutes long. Okay. I love everyone that worked on this, but This playthrough's already been 90 hours. I love you all. Thank you so much for making it an incredible game. We got places to be. No offense, but yeet. Yeah, this theme's really good too. I'm gonna have to listen to this theme later because we're probably gonna miss a bit of it. Fast forwarding. Overall, though, that was really a great ending. Also, amazing final boss battle. I was thinking, like... Well, we still don't know, but I was sad that there doesn't seem to be any, like, post-game super boss or super hunt or anything. So I was really hoping that the final boss would be, like, the hardest fight in the game, which is not typical of Square Enix. A lot of times the final boss is easy enough to where everyone can beat it, and then there's some kind of super boss afterwards to really challenge those that care. But I like that the final boss was the hardest enemy. At least it feels like he was. Because I think it fits this game, and I think it fits the mechanics of the game. You should really... The thing with a lot of RPGs is, like, a lot of it has to do with your preparation and not your expertise of the game, so it's not exactly fitting to have the final boss be, like, super difficult. But here, it's like the whole idea of this game is to be good at the mechanics. It's an action game. It's not an RPG. It's not a typical RPG. It's an action game. So you should be good at the mechanics if you want to be able to beat the final boss. So I'm glad that the final boss was actually cool and difficult and had a million crazy attacks. Post-credit scene, pause champ.
Oh.
Dang kids.
Every time.
Will you light it?
Yes, Mother.
Man, this sucks. I want to go back to magic.
Come on. If only I had the flames of an icon.
Icon? Have you been reading that silly story again? Magic belongs in fairy tales, and fairy tales don't boil kettles. You see? Well done. Now, be a good lad and play with your brother until supper.
Come on, hurry! Hurry! All right.
That cute doggo.
Right, let's play the Saint in the Secretary. No, I don't want to be Madu. What do you want to play then? War of the Icons! Again?
Ah.
Right. And I get to be a freak. Right, I'm the older brother. Because Bahamut says so.
But what? One journey ends what? What? Okay. Forget everything I said. Worst ending of all time. You're telling me he survived and we don't even get to see him go back? What? That better be in the DLC. I'm just kidding. That's how they're gonna get us with the DLC. $20 DLC. It's just him coming back and them all just throwing a party, and that's the whole DLC. So yeah, I guess that answers our question as to whether or not it's saved the world from the blight. And apparently he survived. Either that, or like Jill wrote the book and then just used his name as like her pen name. It's possible. Can't confirm. Maybe Tomes wrote it because he gave Tomes all of his stories. So he could have wrote it and just said, "Bye, Joshua Rossfield." We don't know. Okay, so my guess from what I said earlier, and it's still my guess, is that it's going to time travel us back. But let's see what happens. New Game Plus is now available. The option lets you start a new game with player and item data carried over. The gameplay mode, Final Fantasy is all... Final Fantasy, okay. Final Fantasy gameplay, but okay, could we have called it something? This is a weird name. How am I going to explain this? Imagine if I do like a challenge. If I do a challenge run, my video is going to be titled Final Fantasy XVI Final Fantasy mode, or Final Fantasy low-level Final Fantasy run. Everyone's going to be like, what is he talking about? Obviously, he's playing Final Fantasy. Increased enemy strength, an increased player level cap, new gear and items, mode exclusive okay. I like the mode exclusive content. There's still a chance for a super boss, which is really the only thing I'm wishing upon a star there is. New gear is also interesting, although up to this point, I'm so... like, I don't care about the gear anymore. Maybe the gear finally got good after the game's over. An increased player level cap, that's interesting. I wonder what the regular level cap is. I kind of wonder if it's 50, because I was at 48, and I did everything. So it might be 50. For players who wish to test their limits, ooh, I'm interested. Okay, but wait. What happens if I load this? My guess is it teleports us back. Yep, I was right. I was right. Now here is the grand question. Is this just for cleanup? Or is there something new? My guess is there's nothing new because there's the Final Fantasy mode. But let's check just to be sure. That's what I thought. So this is just to clean up. Which, I do have one thing to clean up, and that's I need to go get the last trials. But other than that, everything's done. So, here comes the big question. Is this the end of the Let's Play? Because we've done everything. The only real thing left that I would put in the Let's Play would be the trials. But I don't think the trials are going to be anything like, you know, oh my god, something has changed drastically. Like, I think it's just going to be trials with the other icons, and then the reward is always going to be accessory based on the ultimate of that icon. Petting Torgal for 4 hours. So yeah, I think in terms of the Let's Play, I think we ended here. And obviously if there's something special after the trials or something, then I can include that in a bonus episode or just include that in its own episode. If there's a special, if there's like a special super boss in Final Fantasy mode, that'll just be a separate video. So I think in terms of the Let's Play, this is it. So I'm gonna do a big review of the game, a whole video about just the, like a, you know, IGN 8 out of 10 review of the game. So I'm not going to go too in depth, but I do kind of want to give my final thoughts on the game at the end of the Let's Play. Overall, this game really surprised me in a lot of ways. I think that this game really pushes Final Fantasy into like a new era, I think. I think we have retro Final Fantasy and we have modern Final Fantasy, wherever you decide that split is. But I really do think that this is something different. It's not just the fact that it's an action game, because I'm sure they're going to continue to experiment with how they want to make Final Fantasy in the future. But something about the way the story is told and the way that the game carries itself, it just feels different. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just feels like Final Fantasy has moved on to this new era. And I don't really know what to call it, and I don't know for good or for bad, but it just feels like from 16 and on, Final Fantasy is going to be different. And I could see people splitting it into 3 separate retro, modern, postmodern, right? And it's funny because the story kind of reflects that a bit too, with destroying the crystals. And at the very beginning of the game, the very first thing it says is like, the crystals brought us all this prosperity, but also chains, and now we must break them, kind of thing. And I don't think that's some kind of meta commentary on Square Enix saying like, we're moving on, screw the old games. Just like people went overboard with the whole remake and the ghosts and saying like, that's them hating their old fans. Like, give me a break. But there is something to be said about how this game kind of breaks the chains of Final Fantasy and brings it into this new era. In general, I think that this game was really good. It's hard for me to give it like a rating or to compare it to the other Final Fantasies because this game falls so perfectly in my wheelhouse. I really like action games, and obviously I'm the Final Fantasy guy, so this is like 2 of my favorite things put together. If I was someone that was truly just an RPG fan and I grew up with Final Fantasy and now I was playing this, I feel like I would have it would be more frustrating. But for me, it so perfectly falls into my wheelhouse that I don't have that same kind of pushback of, well, it doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy as much. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to compare it to the other games. What I will say is, this is the least Final Fantasy feeling Final Fantasy, barring maybe 11. The story is amazing, but other than the crystals and the chocobos and the everything that it alludes to, and the fact that the icons are like a big part of the theming, and Sid is a big part of the theming, like there's definitely Final Fantasy there. But a lot of it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy. It's not, you know, the party mechanics aren't there, the RPG mechanics aren't there, there's a lot of things missing. But by the end of the game, it really surprised me with how much it did feel like a Final Fantasy. That final scene with everyone coming together before Clive and Dion and Joshua took off, it felt like Final Fantasy for a minute. The whole, I've always said that the big thing about me with Final Fantasy is that feeling of a group of, not strangers, but a group of people from around the world with all different ideals and stuff come together to save the world. That's always been like the theme of Final Fantasy to me. That's what got me into the series. That's what made it interesting to me. And, 15 didn't have that. 14 and 11 kind of have that, but in a different way. This game, it felt like it didn't have it until that moment. But that moment I realized all these different cultures and all these different kingdoms. We had like one person from each. We had people from our family. We had people like Dion and stuff from the other side all coming together to save the world. It did feel like that for a moment, which was cool. But, yeah, I mean, the general party mechanics, the general having different people of different classes and blah, 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 the things you typically expect from a Final Fantasy game, it's not here, which is why I said I think that this is kind of pushing Final Fantasy into this new realm of character-driven plots that don't necessarily have to be a party of 8 people, all with different classes, you know what I mean? It's kind of throwing away that at this point. For better or for worse. The story also, it's hard for me to relate this to the other games because the story was amazing and it was told in an amazing way. But it's so character driven that it's hard for me to give it, because to me it's like 10 out of 10, one of my favorite stories of all time, because it's so character driven and that's what I'm all about. So I feel like I'm really biased. I'm excited to go back and read all the comments on the Let's Play to see what other people think about the story, because to me it felt amazing and I was so enthralled by the characters throughout the entire game. I couldn't wait to see what would happen with Dion. I couldn't wait to see what would happen with Joshua. I was on the edge of my seat waiting for Clive and Joshua to finally come back together. I was on the edge of my seat to see what would happen with Jill. I was on the edge of my seat to see if Dion survived. Like, I fell in love with so many different characters in this game, and it kept me at the edge of my seat throughout like the whole experience. So for me, it was a 10 out of 10 amazing story, but I don't know if everyone will agree with that because not everyone cares as much about characters as I do. A lot of people care more about the general plot and how it fits with the other Final Fantasy games and the world and etc., etc. I think this game had a great world. I think this game had a great plot. So I think that even if you're not someone that cares as much about the characters, I still think you would at least give this game the time of day. But whether or not everyone else agrees it's a 10 out of 10 story, I don't know. But for me, I really, really did enjoy it a lot. Like Sid, Dion, Joshua, they all stole the show. Like, they were so good. Gav makes it a 17 out of 10. Yeah. And the supporting characters were incredible. Uncle, Otto, Gav, like, they were so good. And there were so many great little scenes with them. I still remember the scene with Otto where he told us about when he first met Sid. Tomes, yeah. The voice acting was so good. And I can't always say that about Final Fantasy because it's a Japanese first, type of thing, so you never know what you're going to get with the English voice actors. Something like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you kind of expect it, but with something like this, it's like, I don't know if they're really going to put as much time into the English voice acting. But it was incredible. And it's so important that it was good, too. Because if they tried to make this a Netflix show, the game, if they tried to make it Game of Thrones, the game, and the voice acting sucked, it would have destroyed it. I mean, it would have been awful. Truly. I think that out of every game I've ever played, this was probably the most important one to have good voice actors. You know what I mean? I think it all would have fallen apart if the voice actors were not good. So I'm really happy that they were really, really good. I talked a lot about the soundtrack and how it's more of a equalized soundtrack across the board instead of your typical Final Fantasy big banger songs and character themes. But I gotta say, there were some real standouts. That final scene, like the final boss and all that's music, and the music in the final scene before we left, and the piano that fits throughout the entire game, and then it gets elevated into an organ at the end because, of course, Final Fantasy, we gotta have organs. It all fits so well. So even though I would say it's more of a equalized experience throughout the game, that doesn't make it any worse. It's just, that's kind of the way they decided to do it. And I think it fits the game, but... in the end, the combat was fun all the way through. I still really enjoy the combat. I think when I go back and play through New Game Plus, it's not going to be boring for a long time. I don't see it lasting forever. I don't think it's something that's going to, like, stand the test of time as much as, like, some of the other games. You are going to eventually find your perfect build and just do the same thing every time in every fight. So I kind of see it as play through New Game Plus, figure out your perfect build, and then you're kind of going to be done unless, you know, the DLC. I think it's going to be really important if this game does have DLC to implement more abilities. Because if the DLC is just more gameplay and you have the same mechanics, it's really going to fall flat. Because I think everyone's going to be kind of done with the mechanics by the time the DLC comes out. This isn't your Final Fantasy VII with the materia system. This isn't your Final Fantasy IX with multiple characters that you can swap in that you haven't used. That's the problem with not having a party. With a lot of the other Final Fantasy games, you have a party. So if you play through the game again, it's like, oh, I'll use Quina. I didn't use Quina last time. Oh, I'll use Steiner. I haven't used Steiner in a while. But here it's only Clive. So it's like, you're going to get sick of this combat. You're going to find your perfect build and just do the same exact abilities at the same exact times and learn all the dodge timings, and that's going to be pretty much it. Unless the DLC implements some new things that we can play with. Even if it's not new abilities, but just something to where it throws a wrench into it and you can mix around and mess with stuff. So that's going to be really important for the DLC. For now, I'm still not bored of it. I still think it's great, but I'm just saying, like, you know, after New Game Plus, I'm probably going to be like, all right. You know, unless I'm starting a new game and doing like a challenge run or I'm doing speed runs or whatever, I do think it's going to get kind of old after, you know, 120 hours. But all the way through, it was good. And, you know, it all led up to a final boss that didn't disappoint, thank God, because if the final boss disappointed, I would have been like, wow, I spent all this time mastering all these abilities and then the final boss was easy. So I'm really glad the final boss was actually big and epic. And I think if I had not done the side quests, he would have been pretty difficult. So, I think that's pretty much it in terms of like positive things. There's more for me to talk about, but I'll talk about it in the review. I do need to talk about the negative aspects. And really all I can think about is the RPG mechanics. It's just such a shame that they're so bad. Because I really do feel like everything was here for it to work. So it had to have been a time thing. It couldn't have been they didn't think it would work. It can't be that. It's got to be that they just ran out of time. Because, you know, there's that one sword, the enhanced sword, that has more attack than stagger, and that's the only one. And all the other swords are just attack and stagger, and all the armors are completely useless. Just a little bit more time in the oven, man. And I came up with a lot of great ideas throughout the game. Whether it be armors that enhance your abilities in some way, weapons being tied to your icons. So instead of having a sword that you equip, instead when you switch to Shiva, you get the Shiva sword. When you switch to Ifrit, you get the Ifrit sword. And then those swords themselves have ability trees instead of just one ability tree. So, for example, when you first get Shiva, Shiva's level 0. And as you use Shiva abilities, Shiva levels up. And that's how you get the abilities. And the ability trees go through the sword. And when you switch to Shiva, you get the Shiva weapon. That would have been so much better than just having one weapon you equip that just has numbers that are higher than the last one you equipped. And you already have each individual. We got an ice brand and like all the different weapons for all the different icons, but it replaced the old one. Instead of letting you have them all, you had to use one to make the other one, which is such a shame. We should have been able to keep all of them, and they all should have augmented each individual icon. So, like, they were that close, but again, probably just didn't have enough time. Probably just they had to focus on the 60 hours worth of cutscenes, so they didn't have time to implement something like that. But my biggest frustration is that they did have time to implement better weapons. They did. All they had to do was change a couple of these weapons to have more stagger, and it would have been infinitely more interesting. All they had to do was edit a couple of these numbers. Hey, you know, the Masamune has 350 stagger, but only 290 attack. The Everdark has 360 attack, but only 300 stagger. Like, that's all they had to do, and it would have been infinitely more interesting to equip weapons. With the armor, all they had to do was just have the armor have the same abilities as stuff like this. Oh, there's an armor that increases Torgal's attack proficiency. Oh, there's an armor that increases your down thrust damage. Oh, there's an armor that makes Mesmerize do more will damage. That's all they had to do, and the armor would have been infinitely more interesting. Or even just to up these numbers, instead of giving me 5 HP when I have 3,000 HP, or have equipment that doesn't give you defense at all and gives you attack. So have one, you know, this gives you 95 defense and 32 health. This gives you 20 attack and 27 health and doesn't give you any defense, right? Just any kind of difference between the equipment, so you at least have to think for 2 seconds, which would I like to equip, instead of just literally looking at the numbers and equipping the next thing. Not to mention that we went so long without equipping anything because of the auto equipment we got. So, you know, just like, these are things that don't take dev time, right? The whole thing I was talking about with the upgrade system with the weapons and stuff, that would have taken more dev time, so I understand why that's not there. But this is something where they could have implemented it. It would have taken no extra time to do it. And they just chose not to. They just chose to put everything into the accessories. Which just sucks, you know? Really sucks. And, you know, that it bleeds into other parts of the game, too, because the equipment sucked so bad that all of the shops were useless. Gil was useless. And because Gil was useless, a lot of the hunts were useless. Because a lot of the hunts were useless, a lot of the side quests ended up being useless. So it's not just the equipment, it bleeds into everything. If Gil had been important, if there was a bunch of armors in the shops that were like, oh, this increases your Shiva abilities, and this increases your Titan abilities, and this increases your ability to dodge, then Gil would have actually been useful, and then so many of the other mechanics in the game would have been interesting. The side quests, 90% of the time, were only interesting for the story. But imagine if Gil was actually useful and you wanted to do the side quests to get the Gil, you know? Because otherwise, the rewards were all trash. And wanting to explore the world would have been so much nicer if Gil mattered. There were so many chests I opened that had goblin coins in it, and I was like, well, who cares? I don't care about Gil. But if I cared about Gil, I would have been like, oh boy, I want to explore the rest of this area to see if I can find any more. But Gil was completely useless the entire game, so just really sucks. And I understand that some of this stuff might actually be fixed in the New Game Plus. Perhaps in New Game Plus there's something that you buy for like 10 million Gil. Perhaps in New Game Plus there's equipment that actually does stuff. But that doesn't change the fact that 80% of people are only going to experience the story as it's done, because this is a 60-hour game. And they're all going to miss out on that. There's no reason why it shouldn't be part of the main story, the main mechanics of the game. You can't just say, well, it's in New Game Plus, so don't worry about it. Like, most people are not going to play New Game Plus. So, just a really big shame that the equipment sucked so bad. And, you know, I don't expect equipment to be amazing in an action game, but this is Final Fantasy. If you're going to make it an action game, it's got to be a Final Fantasy action game. It can't just be Devil May Cry. We got to combine Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy. Instead, this is Devil May Cry, and then we sprinkled a little Final Fantasy on top. It should be a equal combination of both, you know? And the more that I played this, the more I realized that Doom Eternal has a better equipment system than this game. We're living in a timeline where Doom Eternal, the game whose entire purpose is to run forward and kill demons and think about strategy later, has a better equipment system than Final Fantasy XVI. That's sad. That makes me sad. And I hope that's not the future of Final Fantasy, you know? Because if you can get a really deep, interesting equipment system in Doom Eternal, there's no reason why we can't do that in Final Fantasy XVI. And if it's not done, delay the game. Because, you know what I mean? I don't always agree with delaying games, but in this sense, it's like, if it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy, and it's called Final Fantasy 16, delay the freaking game. Like, make it work, you know? So, just such a big shame. Such a big, huge shame, the equipment system. But, having said all that, even with the equipment system being bad, it didn't ruin the combat. The combat was still fun. It didn't ruin the story. The story was still fun. It didn't ruin the balance. The balance was still good. And overall, my experience was still great. So I have to point at it and say, hey, don't do that again. It's bad. But overall, it didn't ruin the game. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I'm going to do a big review of it, like I said, but those are kind of just all of my thoughts right now. I have no idea, you know, even for the review, I don't know if I'm going to give it like a rating. It's just too hard. It's too hard to compare this to the other games, and it's still new, and a lot of what makes Final Fantasy great is its legacy, its replayability, and I just don't think the game's been out long enough for me to say for sure, you know? And plus, I haven't even played New Game Plus yet, so we'll leave it at that. In the end, though, really, really enjoyed my playthrough of it. Really enjoyed experiencing it with all of you guys. There's nothing better than experiencing a new Final Fantasy with my community. After spending so many years loving the old games, so many years conjecturing about what the next Final Fantasy would be like, for good or for worse, it's such a blessing to be able to play it with all of you. It's such a blessing to talk about the good, talk about the bad, you know, just experience the game together and be able to talk about it for years to come. So thank you again so much for being part of this Let's Play. All of you guys here, everyone that watched it on YouTube, appreciate it so, so much. And of course, I'll be doing a review of the game. I'll be doing post-game stuff. You'll see all that on YouTube if we do the Super Boss, if there is a Super Boss, if we do special trial stuff, if we do any kind of challenge run, if we do any kind of speed run, anything that we do, if it's interesting, it'll be on YouTube. But this will be the end of the official Let's Play. So thanks again for everything, everyone that gave any kind of super thanks or donation throughout the Let's Play or joined the Patreon. It means so, so much to me. It's you guys that continue to let me do this. So thanks to everyone that joined the Patreon throughout this. Can't thank you enough. And even if you just watched, you know, it does support, and I appreciate it. And just hearing your conversations. I can't wait to go back and read all the comments. I'm like 2 months behind on the comments because I didn't want to get spoiled. So I waited. So I'm going to have to go back and read everyone's thoughts on every part of the game, and that's going to be a blast. So just thank you so much for being part of the conversation and being part of our community. And we will see you in the next Let's Play. Thanks again. We'll see you there. Peace.